Good afternoon. Welcome to our garden. Now tomorrow morning after the sun comes up, we're going to get busy in the front garden, laying cardboard and covering it with mulch. It's going to be an all-day event. But let's take the opportunity right now to gather supplies and look at what we need to do to get ready. So come on. For 2 years in a row, the cardinals have laid their second hatching of eggs here. It's been really cute. The mulch is all ready to go. Ooh, I'm excited. Baker Creek seeds arrived. Now I'm putting the supplies up here overnight because this is a really busy pedestrian street. And they're pretty good about not bothering things, but I don't want to risk things getting stolen. Let's see if that stays. Ooh, barely made it through. Now we're going to mulch this area here. But first, let's evaluate what we need to do today to prepare. Like, are there any strawberries that we're going to need to move? Because we're only leaving strawberries along the edge. So 2 guys just stopped to talk to me. So let's put our evaluation on hold, and I want to encourage you. So down the street is the Mission, where they serve some of the meals and have a daytime shelter. And up the street is the Community Action Agency, where they have other meals. So every day the homeless walk up and down this street. And the overnight shelter, it's back there a couple of streets over. Often they stop and they talk with me and they share their memories. You can see they've had a rough life, lots of drug addiction and alcohol and mental illness, various reasons that they're homeless. but most of them have a story. And they'll say, oh, Grandma had a garden, or Mama had a garden. And they're thinking of better times, and they enjoy discussing it with me. These two guys came by and said, yeah, Mom and Dad have a 50-acre farm. You know, I don't know the situation, why he's not with his parents. Obviously, it's not a good situation, but he was sharing his memories. So please, always find a way to be kind. And you never know how your actions are going to impact people in a positive way. Many of them call this their garden. It's sweet and it always touches me. Okay, back to figuring out what we need to do today. So I don't see any strawberries in the middle, just here along the edges. Ooh, look at this. So we're going to leave the strawberries on around the edges, and I can't believe we still have strawberries in November. These are ever-bearing strawberries that I bought this year. They were bare roots, and they've done fabulous. I need to look back where I bought them, and I'll add a link in the description. I've really been pleased with them. Now that fennel, I'm going to pull it out and plant it new every year because it would just get too big for this space. I plant it for the butterflies and the caterpillars, the swallowtails. This year we didn't have very many, but this is a host plant for the caterpillars. I already cut this down, but it's been growing back. Now, we had sunflowers here this summer. They were really tall, all different colors, but they died a long time ago, and I've already cut them down. And there were zinnias all in this area that I've already cut down a lot of. We got about 3 plants left. I'm going to chop and drop them tomorrow, and I'm going to leave them in place to break down. So I've already moved all the strawberries that were in the middle here in August. And all I have left is on the edge. All those other little things that have popped up and are growing, I'll just leave them because I'm going to cover them with cardboard that's going to block them from growing next year. Now, all along here are straw flowers. And I'm going to leave those for 2 reasons. 1, the bees are still loving them. And 2, because in front of the straw flowers, I have bulbs. And I don't want to cover those with cardboard. If I cover them with cardboard, they won't be able to grow in the spring. So the straw flowers are going to help me remember where to stop the cardboard. I have daffodils in the front. They're going to bloom first, and then we'll have tulips. That's going to be in the spring. You see all those busy bees? Now, I grew straw flowers last year because I wanted to dry them for winter and have them in the house. But unfortunately, I'm allergic to them, and I didn't expect that. So I can't have them in the house with me. So what I did is I dried them in the garage and put them in glass jars to be able to enjoy the color. So we're going to harvest some today. Now this is the best way when it's still closed. But don't collect ones that look like this, or that are browning in the middle. They're just going to explode in your house or your garage. Now, if you want to save seeds for next year, then look for some that look like this, or, let me see. Or this one. Can you see the seeds on there? But I already have enough. I've already saved my seeds for next year. So let's collect some more to dry. A lot of the white ones had already blown open, but I got a few. I'm going to leave these in the garage to dry. I decided to go ahead and harvest the fennel leaves, and I saw a little bit of mint. And I think I'm going to take these beautiful zinnias and display them in the house. But I'm going to use gloves because my hands smell like those straw flowers, and I don't want that smell in the house. That smells good. Trying to shake out these dry leaves. Those flowers look good, but all these other ones are just all shriveled up. Now, if you want to save zinnia seeds, it's easy. Well, let me find a dry one. Let me find a bigger one. That'd be better. Now, summer's the best time because the seeds are going to be fully developed. Many of these aren't fully developed, but it'll give you an idea. Now, the bottom row develop first. See the seed? This one's still green, but in the summer, find a dried up flower and the seed should be brown. Save it for next year, but you got to get them before the birds gobble them up. I don't mind, though, sharing with the finch. They love zinnia seeds. I've already saved my zinnia seeds for next year. Pretty good harvest. That's enough the last time to enjoy in the house. Now I mentioned chop and drop. What's that? It's simple. Old plants, like these zinnias, for example, you just chop and drop it and leave it there. Tomorrow, I'll just lay cardboard on top of it. And under the cardboard, it'll break down throughout the winter, spring, and summer. It'll become new soil. And how does that happen? It's because your soil is alive. There's so many living organisms in there. And they feed on that. They feed on the plant matter. And worms, my soil is full of worms. They love cardboard. My favorite way to compost? is chop and drop. If I could, I'd chop and drop all my plants, but I'm just not able to. My hands don't have that ability. I do manage arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. So I can't do it in the whole garden, but I am going to do it with these remaining plants here in the front and feed my soil. The smaller you chop them, the faster they'll break down. I made a small little pile. Now let's harvest the mint, and then we're going to bring everything inside before it wilts. Found two strawberries hiding. I left the straw flowers way over there, so I don't smell them every time I come in here and it bother me. We're going to go take care of the flowers, mint, and fennel, and check the time to see if we can get back in the front and chop some more. Good frosty morning. Welcome back to our garden. Today we need to keep working in the front. We're going to be chopping and dropping the old plants. But first, let's go collect all the supplies. Most we left in the front on the porch, but there's a few we need to get from the garage, so come on. Now let's see how the straw flowers are drying that we harvested. Those are looking really good. And none of them have exploded into puffballs. First, let's go ahead and feed the birds and the squirrels. Now last night it got down to 26 degrees. It was cold. So yesterday We took the green stock planters along the side of the house and unstacked them, put them on the ground, and put them to bed for the winter to protect them from the cold. So we put the front garden work on hold to work on this. I'll post the video of that after we do the front garden series. Now when the sun starts peeking around this corner, we'll uncover them so that they get the light and the warmth. Now the goal today is to chop and drop the old plants. And we're going to leave them there to compost in place over winter. So 2 days ago it was raining. And 3 days ago we prepped the front. But now we're going to get back to work on it. First, I want to pull up all these stakes. I used them to support the plants. And we're going to pull up these rings. I use those to protect baby plants from me stepping on them. So we're going to put all this stuff in the wagon first. This one's stuck. We'll have to go back and cut it because the zinnias grew all back through it. Now you're going to notice all these green posts that I've left in the ground. This is because our neighbor warned us that this young man was running and jumping over this little fence every day. So I put those stakes there because I don't want him to hurt himself or to ruin our plants. Now we're going to leave all these because the straw flowers, they're still alive. They're still producing flowers. We still have strawberries. It's because this is the warmest spot. It gets a lot of sun, and I think those bricks are holding the heat too. We actually picked a fully ripe one this morning. I'm really happy with this brand. I'm going to put it down in the description. I'll put a link. Now this part's really thick. It's really hard to cut. And I could use my big old loppers, but I really don't have the time or energy for that. So I have a compost pile behind there that I'm going to use. It's just going to compost in place. That's where I put all the sunflowers that grew along here this summer. I found one that was hiding. Now this is going to compost real slowly. I don't turn it or anything. I just leave it. And that soil becomes really rich in that area. Dry okra seeds. They are so easy to save, but I already have plenty in the house. The okra grows really well right here. It gets the most sun. But it's been done a long time ago. Here in north central Maryland, okra is a challenge for me to grow, but I can't find good fresh okra here. And the frozen kind is just lousy, so I have to grow it myself.
Good morning.
Now our plan is to chop and drop the old plants in place and then cover everything with cardboard. The old plants and the old mulch, they'll just break down underneath and become rich new soil. Now, if you notice, the strawberries grow along the edge because I can't cover them with the cardboard. They come back every year, but if you block them, they're not going to regrow. So I take the cardboard right up to the edge of them, and I leave that place open. And that next year will also help them retain moisture. I found a small baby okra. I almost didn't see it. And some trash. When you live in an urban downtown setting like we do, trash is going to blow in. Now, if you've noticed all the weeds and the volunteer plants like this, now remember, since we're going to sheet mulch this with cardboard, they're not going to grow again next year. So I'm not going to take the time to pull them out. I'm just going to leave them and they're going to break down. Now this very front part, I'm not going to cover with cardboard because remember, we have spring flowering bulbs and we can't block it so they grow in the spring. But I am going to weed this area. Yeah, that looks much better. Now there's a lot of strawberry runners, and some of the strawberries are really full. I'll trim those runners. But some of the areas are really thin, and I want more plants to grow. So I'm going to go ahead and pin down those runners. November too. Now, there are ever-bearing strawberries along this front edge. They're going to produce fruit all summer until it gets too cold. They're new this year, and I'm really pleased with how fabulous these have done. Now, up here close to the stairs, there are the traditional summer, June bearing strawberries. They tend to fruit from May to June, and then they're done. These right here. This is what we have in the back garden. Now later, I want to train the runners from the everbearing to run all the way up to the stairs and replace those June bearing. I really like those everbearing. They produce less and supposedly smaller fruit, but for a longer period of time. Now we're going to leave most things on the porch when we come back tomorrow to get to work and lay down the cardboard. And we're going to keep it in place with pins. Storage space is always a challenge. Now, what do I always say? Remember to close the garage door, because the skunk will sleep inside. See here? You see those holes? The squirrel's been digging. And that's why we had to protect the garlic that we just planted. So we've already prepped the front garden. We harvested a few things, some fennel, some mint, and all those straw flowers. Then today we chopped and dropped the old plants. Now there's a lot of plants that I pulled a long time ago. It was really full of zinnias that we enjoyed all summer. And planted amongst everything was ginger, and we harvested that too. But the few things left, we chopped and dropped today to let them compost in place. And tomorrow we're going to go back and we're going to sheet mulch it and lay down the cardboard. And day after tomorrow, we'll put down the mulch. Now here in the back garden, we're using leaves for mulch. But in the front, being a busy street with a lot of traffic, I don't want the leaves to blow in the street and cause problems, so I bought bags of wood mulch. This is the secret to my success of growing a lot in a very small space with very limited watering. Sheet mulching in the fall with cardboard, cover with mulch, either leaves or wood chips, straw or hay. That is really what allows me to grow so much in this small area. I've been doing it for about 11 years now. Good morning and welcome back to our garden. Today we're going to finish mulching the front with wood mulch. But first we need to feed the birds and the squirrels, dump out the kitchen compost, and get the wagon. So come on and help me. I need to bring this back and dump it in the compost. Now it's the third week of November, and Thanksgiving is next week in 5 days. And I'm ready to get this front finished mulching. But first, let's harvest some strawberries, which we're still getting in November, and deadhead the straw flower. So hopefully more will grow. I think those need a little bit more time, maybe tonight or tomorrow morning. Let's go ahead and deadhead the straw flowers. The bees are still loving these. Now we're going to cut any that have brown centers because the bees really don't use those. But I got to use some gloves because unfortunately I'm allergic to these. That looks much better. There aren't any bees out today because it's cloudy and windy, and they really like the sun. Now, if you've been watching our videos, you know my favorite way to compost is just chop and drop the old plants. But since we've already laid down the cardboard, I don't want the seeds from these straw flowers germinating in the mulch next year. So we're going to dump these in the compost in the back garden. Now, in our most recent video, we laid down the cardboard and secured it in place with our landscape pins. And today, we're going to take the wood mulch that we bought at Home Depot and put a nice thick layer on top. But you could use leaves, hay, straw, grass clippings, or any organic matter that's going to break down. Still need these gloves. I went about 4 to 6 inches. Now, why did I lay down that cardboard? Well, to block weeds, hold moisture, and the worms love it. Any old plants and old mulch underneath just breaks down into rich new soil. Every fall, I put a fresh layer of cardboard and a fresh layer of mulch. Now, we're not going to sheet mulch with cardboard this front area because this is where we have our spring bulbs, our daffodils and our tulips. And if we covered this with cardboard, they wouldn't be able to come up in the spring. But I still do want to mulch it. Now, we're going to have a lot of our summer flowers have dropped their seeds here, and in the spring, volunteers are going to grow. So what I like to do is dig those up, put them into pots, let them root for a couple of weeks, and then give them away free to my community. Okay, so here's an example. This is a marigold that volunteered. So in the spring, if this was the spring, I would transplant this into a pot, let it develop roots, and then give it away to the community. We're not going to do that now because being winter, it's not going to survive. That looks much better. It feels good to finish the front. Now we're mulching the back garden with leaves, but here in the front with this busy street, you've noticed all the traffic. The leaves would just blow and cause problems. So in the front, I wanted to buy wood mulch. And also, I think it makes it look prettier. We've got 2 bags left, so that means it took about 10 bags, but I did put it on really thick. Now let's clean up the porch for the winter and store everything in the garage. That looks much better. We'll move the chairs later. Remember, close the garage door because the skunk will sleep inside. Now in the next video, you're going to see me winterizing the green stalk. You've been seeing it as we walk past because last week it got down to the 20s, about 27, 28 degrees, and I had to take care of it. So I went ahead and unstacked it and covered it with fleece. But that's going to be the next video. After that, we're going to get back to working on the back garden, mulching it with leaves. Good morning. Welcome back to our garden. Today we're going to be working in the front, laying down the cardboard. But first, I think we need some scissors. And we need to feed the birds, so come on and help me. Now these straw flowers, they look dry, so let's take the time to put them in these glass jars so we can display them. They were still a little bit soft, so I think I'm going to put them back in the garage to dry some more because we don't want them to mold. Now the green stalk tiers, they're looking really good. I just uncovered the fleece for the morning. The next 4 nights, it's not going to be below freezing, so I'm going to keep the fleece off. Now see the sun, it's about to peek around the corner. That's why we needed the scissors. Now my number one garden tip is to use cardboard. Spring, summer, fall, winter, doesn't matter what time of year, lay it down in the garden to block weeds and to retain moisture. That really is my number one tip. Now, if you saw a recent video, you know I lay down cardboard every year for I think the last 11 years. And everything under the cardboard, like the old plant matter, these are the old zinnias, weeds, like these dandelions, just leave them and cover them up. Even the old mulch. Here, let me find some. That's the wood mulch that I put down fresh last year. Just lay the cardboard on top of all of that, and over winter, everything's going to break down into new, rich soil. That's how you're going to feed your garden. Now I'm going to start along this edge. We're not going to cover the very front because we have spring flowering bulbs in there, and we can't block those. So this line of straw flowers has helped me get to know where to start the cardboard. I'm going to leave those straw flowers in until the flowers are completely finished blooming. Yep, we're going to save that. Now here's some old tape. See all those little volunteer zinnias? I'm just going to leave them there. We're not going to bother to pull them up. We're just going to cover them with the cardboard. It's going to break it down, and it's going to feed the soil. Worms love cardboard. My gardens are just chock full of worms. Now, you don't have to use big sheets of cardboard. All sizes have their benefit. I needed a smaller piece along the edge here. Look at those strawberries. See, I needed to scoot up right up into the edge. We can't cover these strawberries or they'll die because they need to grow back next year. This was just perfect right up against them. And you see, in November, we're still getting strawberries. And yeah, the nights have been below freezing, but here in the front, there's a warmer microclimate. Okay, guys, look along here. See all those staples? Now we're fortunate that Dale can find big pieces of cardboard like this near our home downtown where all the shops are. But many big boxes have staples. I don't take the time to pull them out. You can if you want to, but I do make sure to put the staples face down, the pointy side down. Okay, look at this. This is an example of last year's cardboard. It's almost completely broken down. Here's some trash that I found too. Now let's discuss tape. I don't take the time to peel off the tape. I don't have the energy or the time for that. But if you're not comfortable leaving the tape, then go ahead. Feel free to do it. I see the benefit of using the cardboard with or without the tape. Of course, it's not going to break down, so I do find it in the garden. Every day I'm going to walk around the garden, I just pick up any tape I see and throw it away. Now this is better because this is some paper tape, but most of the tape on your boxes are going to be clear plastic like this. Now the big benefit of the cardboard is blocking the weeds. Now I have tried weed fabric, I just wasn't a fan. I found that my garden dried out easier. It actually developed big cracks. I much more prefer the cardboard. But any gaps in the cardboard, weeds are going to grow through them. So little pieces of cardboard like this are perfect for scooting under those gaps. It's going to help. I mean, of course, some weeds are always going to find their way through. See these gaps here? Now I've blocked them with a little piece of cardboard. Okay, I have this one little spot left. But I don't want to use another big sheet of cardboard because it's going to, like this one, because it's going to create a double layer and it's just going to be too thick. I do want rain to soak through the cardboard down into that soil. And if I have double cardboard, it's just going to be too thick and the soil's going to stay dry. So let's find a little piece, and it'll be the last part of this front garden. Now, because I don't plan to mulch it today, I need something to hold it in place. And I'm going to use these landscape pins because the wind will take this cardboard and carry it away. See the landscape pins? We're just going to pound them in, and it's going to hold the cardboard in place. Now, I used to use bricks, which you can use, but it was a lot of work, and I just really don't have enough. Now see back here? I'm not going to put cardboard behind that trellis. That's a compost pile. Now I prefer to chop and drop my plants and mulch them in place. But some things are so big, or in the summer when I get so busy, I just toss the old plants back there, and they're going to slowly break down. So I'm going to leave that open for the rain to soak through over winter and help break all that down. Now if you notice along this back edge it's popping up. I hammer it down and it pops back up, and that's going to be okay. It doesn't have to be perfect because this wood mulch, it's heavy and it's going to weigh all of this down. I simply want to hold this in place overnight so the wind doesn't blow it away. See, that's gonna be fine. Now, if I was using leaves in the front, yeah, it would be a problem because the leaves wouldn't be heavy enough to hold it down. Or if I was going to be walking back and forth here a lot, I might trip, but I don't plan to be walking back here. And since I'm using mulch that'll be heavy, it'll be fine. Okay, let's review. Now, our first video, we chopped and dropped our old plants and we just left it around the garden to break down. We took out all the support poles and equipment and stored those in the garage. Then today, we've laid down the cardboard. Nothing special to this cardboard, it's just what we collected on recycling day. And we held it all in place with some landscape pins. You can use bricks if you want, or nothing if you plan to put down your heavy mulch the same day. Now tomorrow we're going to come back and put down some bags of wood mulch that I've already bought. And the reason we're doing this is to block weeds and feed the soil. It's really my number one top tip on growing a very productive vegetable garden. Any time of year you can do this, but my favorite time to sheet mulch is in the fall because over winter, the rain and the snow softens the cardboard. And by spring, it's easy to punch through and plant my transplants. I don't put soil or compost on top of the cardboard. My soil stays under the cardboard. Now, you'll see a lot of no-dig methods. I think especially British no-dig methods, they buy soil or compost and put it on top, but that gets expensive, and I can't afford that. So I plant directly in the soil through the cardboard. Now, it's going to be possible if you sheet mulch in the spring or summer to do this, but you're going to have to use a knife to cut through that fresh cardboard. Fall's the perfect time, though, for having soft cardboard to plant through in the spring. See, we got the mulch all ready to go. It's probably going to be more than we're going to need here in the front. Now let's go look for some strawberries. Ooh, let's pin that guy right over here. A lot of green strawberries and new blossoms, and even a few that are starting to turn color, but nothing's ready yet. Now this is the area in the front we're not going to sheet mulch because it's full of our spring bulbs, daffodils and tulips. It is a beautiful fall day. The bees love these straw flowers. Tomorrow we're going to deadhead some of the ones that are going to seed, hopefully to get some new blossoms. We're going to cut off ones like that. So I don't know if you can tell, but along the side of the house, the sun's done. It only gets 2 hours of sunlight in the winter. That's a big reason I unstacked the planters, to take full advantage of the limited winter sun. I bet you're wondering what that was. That is the base for a small poultry waterer. Because for the last 4 years, I raised quail. Now, once we're done with the front garden, we'll get back to working on mulching the back garden with this humongous mountain of leaves. If you've noticed, most of the back garden's already been sheet mulched with cardboard. Now today, I don't have to worry about closing the door because the wind is going to do it for me. Remember, I don't want to walk in that garage and see the tail of a skunk because this summer it was sleeping in the garage. See, here's the area that we still need to sheet mulch with cardboard. Now before I forget, let's go in the house and get the Thanksgiving flag. Every time I sit down here to talk with you guys, I notice behind me that I've forgotten to set up the flag for November. So come back next time and help us finish mulching the front garden. Thank you for visiting our garden. See you later. Bye-bye.